All right, good afternoon, everyone. So they say it's more fun in the Philippines, and we're here to find out why. For the next hour, we'll be talking about the game industry in the Philippines through a panel composed of different members of the game industry. We'll be talking to someone from the Game Developers Association of the Philippines, which is an organization that represents the game industry in the Philippines. And we're talking to the founder of the oldest studio in the Philippines, Anino Games, which has been around for more than a decade. We'll be talking to someone from a new startup and see what the challenges are like. And we'll be talking to one of the largest game publisher in the Philippines. So guys, let's start, and please introduce yourselves and just tell us a bit about what you're doing.
All right. Hi. So I guess I'm the youngest here, both in terms of age personally, and also my company. I'm Philip Chiang, and I'm from By Implication. We're a small independent startup. We started just about a year and a half ago, maybe. We do mobile, iOS, Android, as well as desktop, Mac, PC, and online stuff as well. Our goal has always been to create independent, our own self-published games, but to make ends meet, we're also doing consulting and outsourcing work.
Hi, my name is Niel. I'm the founder and CEO of Anino Games. I'm the oldest here, but not in terms of age. We're we're a decade-old company. We just turned we're turning 11 this year, so we've been doing games since 2001. We have a small to medium-sized studio of around 60 guys, doing both outsourcing work, and we started doing original games again around 2 years ago.
Hi, my name is Lichelle Valencia Dalit, and I come. Is it? And I come from the Game Developers Association of the Philippines. Currently I'm the vice president, and we are composed of about 40 members. As of last month. So what the organization does is that we help the small game developers in the Philippines to set up and to meet other people and other players in the market. And we have a good relationship with the government, and we are an organization under the Business Process Association of the Philippines. So we have very good ties with the government as well.
My name is, hello, all right. My name is Philip CAHIWAT. I'm in charge of content acquisition for Level Up. We started in the Philippines in 2002, and we expanded into the US and Brazil as well. Our companies at this point combined about 200 people, 150, oh sorry, maybe like 300 and 150 in the Philippines alone. And we run about 15 titles in the Philippines.
Okay, so what kind of projects are you doing for the developers? It's more of what kind of games, what platforms. For Lichelle, what is the GDAP and what are the member studios like? And for Phil, what kind of titles are you running in the Philippines? So.
All right. So, like I said earlier, we mostly do a little bit of everything. Though recently we've been focusing mostly on iOS and Android because it's easier to get started and to actually get the product out to market, especially with the app stores, Google Play, and Amazon market. So that's what we've been focusing on for our personal projects. The projects that we do in terms of outsourcing and consultancy are actually web stuff. So we do a HTML5 development there.
The platforms we focus on are Facebook, mobile, and PC casual. So we do we're mostly a casual game studio. So both on the PC side, where we concentrate on the older female market. On the mobile side, we do a lot of kid games, pet games. I think we've done around 4 pet games so far for EA and Playdom and now Disney and Play First. On the Facebook side, so we do Facebook, the usual social games for Facebook. So it's all mostly casual game development.
Well, a lot of the companies that are members of the Game Developers Association of the Philippines are into casual games, mobile and social. And well, we have a couple of companies that are working, like my company is Mo Anima, and we do motion capture and keyframe animation. And in addition to that, we also have a lot of companies that deal with 2D and 3D animation and art.
As far as games being played online in the Philippines, through our company, it's mainly MMO RPGs, but we definitely see a big growth in players moving to not necessarily casual games, but session-based gaming. I think they're definitely the most played games, but maybe don't have the highest ARPU. But definitely in terms of unique users per month, the growth is in casual or session-based.
Can you tell us more about those session-based games? What are they like?
I'm talking more about like FPS games, not your traditional persistent world games. More instance dungeons. Like Grand Chase, for example, is our number 2 game, and it's just a party of 4 side-scroller fighting game. And these are the games that are getting the most traffic in the Philippines. But definitely FPS games kind of rule the scene.
I want to give the audience like a better view of what the Philippine game audience is like. So, how big is it, and what are people playing, and what are they paying for?
Oh, okay. You're giving away all the company secrets. Mainly, people are paying. So, most of the money is coming from FPS and these casual games, and they're mainly paying for power-ups. Anything that makes their game experience better. They're not spending too much on vanity items, like in other countries. So yeah, that's about it.
That's all you can reveal.
Yeah. And in terms of players, you're looking at around 6 million unique players of online games. But I think since we're mainly focused on PC client-based games, there's definitely an opportunity in social games. We know from our screen share reports, we are losing a lot of traffic to social games, which is something that now we have to seriously consider for our own company.
Okay, so for Filipino players, they don't really like to pay by subscription or pay upfront for a game. It's more of microtransaction for
That's
power-ups?
right. That's correct. There is no subscription-based game in the Philippines. It's all microtransactions.
Okay. Okay, let's move over to the outsourcing side of the equation. A lot of publishers and developers go to the Philippines to work with outsourcing companies. So, Lichelle, first, can you tell us more about what the outsourcing industry is like and what kind of projects are being done?
Okay. Well, as per last article I read, it seems that the Philippines is, if not number 1, number 2 in the call center industry, and that has spilled over to the game development industry as well. We have been, I think, Anino also, because them being the oldest and Niel being the oldest in this panel, we have been outsourcing. A lot of the companies in GDAP are actually work for hires. So a lot of us started with our clients in US and Europe and us developing games for them. And as slowly we have been seeing an increase in IP development as well, or IP code development with companies, publishers and game developers outside of the Philippines. So as far as the outsourcing industry for game development is concerned, it is a growth industry, and we have a number of people and number of companies that have worked with the best in the industry outside of the Philippines.
Lishal, just a follow-up question. What kind of projects are you seeing? Are they just, are people outsourcing art, concepts, models? Is it whole games? Is it the creation of the IP itself? So from what you've seen, what are we seeing?
It's a mix. It's a mix. It goes from starts with 3D art or 2D art or sometimes concepts, but a lot that I have seen so far, maybe in the past few years, it has been art, but it has been moving towards end-to-end game development. So it really is a mix, but it started with art and it's moving towards the full game development now.
Okay, Niall, how about specifically for your company?
For Anino Games, we've always done full game development. Sometimes we do art as a favor to our partners, but we concentrate. I think what's unique about the Philippine game development industry would be that we're an English-speaking country, so and we all are also like culturally understanding of the Western markets and the Eastern markets. So there's not a lot of education that needs to go on for like Western companies to outsource full development to the Philippines, because we have guys who play U.S. games in English and watch U.S. movies in English, and nothing gets localized in the Philippines. So yeah, that spills over to the development as well. We can understand what people in the Western markets are trying to do. So I think that's one of the strengths. So for studios, I've always been encouraging other studios who concentrate on art to do full development as well.
Okay. So what are the biggest challenges of doing business as a game development company in the Philippines, and what is the game industry doing to help promote it?
Right now, the biggest challenge that we have is really there are not enough talent in the Philippines. There's just a lot of work that's coming in. There's a challenge with talent. There are a number of companies who have been looking mainly for programmers. So what the industry and what the association is doing is we did partner up with the universities and the government so that we can release a 4-year course of game development that we currently do not have. So that's one of the initiatives of the organization the past year and moving towards this year. And I think we are ready to roll out the program by probably middle of next year.
Lishal, I know there are a lot of universities and educational institutions that are also members of GDAP. So
That's right.
what exactly are they doing?
Sorry, what?
What are you doing? What are the programs for game development?
We have been working very closely with them in terms of curriculum, in terms of modules that they can put in their courses, and we have also signed up some of these schools to actually train some of the teachers that will be teaching these courses. You want to add into that? No?
No, it's actually I was gonna mention a different challenge that the Philippine industry has is like maybe unlike Indonesia or unlike Thailand, we have a very small like domestic market.
That's true.
Maybe that's different from like the MMO space, but for the other like titles like maybe like mobile or retail, there's almost no market for it. So as a startup, it's going to be very, very challenging because if they wanted to do original games, they really had to look outside the local market. So I think that's also one of the maybe main mistakes when we started 10 years ago as a development company is we tried making a game that caters to the Philippine audience. So yeah.
Fee, how about you? What keeps you up at night? What's your biggest challenge?
Plenty of things keep me up at night, but insofar as they're related,
Let's talk
insofar as
about.
they're related
Diablo
to, my
3.
to our company.
Let's not talk about all of them.
Yeah, well, yeah. A lot of them have actually been mentioned. Talent is actually pretty hard to come by. I've been very fortunate to have friends who are really crazy and really smart, and that's how we got our team together. I can actually say that in terms of talent, there's actually a lot of good art talent, so 2D, 3D, the like. But developers are harder to come by. Not that there aren't any good developers in the Philippines, but the education is primarily targeted towards stuff like traditional software development or application support, outsourcing, business process, that sort of thing. So in curricula, there's actually a weakness in terms of stuff like hardcore math, OpenGL, 3D graphics, the sort of things that you need for proper game development. But thankfully, Like Lichelle said earlier, more universities are developing courses, and actually I've personally talked to some of them to help develop the curricula. Another thing that Neil mentioned, like you said, the whole lack of a local market to play with, to understand, to sort of act as a playground before developing larger titles, was also a problem for us. We thought that we'd make a lot of sales on the first game that we made for iOS, but it turns out that the majority of our sales came really from markets where we didn't even market the game.
Okay, so let's ask the publisher sitting down over there about the lack of a local market. So, what do you think of that, Phil?
Lack of a local market.
I mean, these developers are talking about they're having a hard time making games for the local market. So, what are we looking for if we want to make games that that'll be played and purchased domestically?
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, I think it's the right move to look outside of the Philippines for non-online games, because piracy is just too strong in the Philippines. And I mean, even for online games, the revenues are quite small compared to anywhere else in the region. So I mean, because of the Filipinos' understanding of the Western market, I think it's the right move for developers to really look outside.
Okay.
Can I add something? It's not really a challenge per se of the Philippine developers, but I think I just wanted to mention that other industries or game development industries in the region, like Singapore and maybe Thailand, I always see their government supporting the industry, and they send what they call this, delegations. Yeah, the IDA is supporting, and we don't get that kind of proactiveness in the Philippines. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that we have to push for that kind of support, and there's a sort of government. There's always a sort of changing political landscape wherein one administration would support us and the next would shut down the department that supports us. So yeah, that's been a challenge for us, getting enough government support.
If I could add to the whole local market thing, I don't think that insofar as it's not that there isn't a local game market. I mean, because the Philippines, as was mentioned earlier, I mean, readily consumes elements of Western, Eastern culture from around the world. But Level Up's strength has traditionally been through the retail channel. Like, they have cards that people can go get. And a lot of gamers in the Philippines don't really have credit cards or don't want to do online transactions, which is why, for example, it's hard to find local gamers who buy a lot online on mobile in particular, because they're primarily credit card driven. Perhaps an interesting thing to sort of explore is how to bridge that sort of disconnect, because I think there are definitely people who want to play these games, but no way of actually paying them. So maybe that's why they resort to piracy.
I think one thing as well is that since the games in the Philippines don't need to be localized, from the US market, that's been one challenge, because then you would need to make games that would compete against games developed in other countries just for the local market share. So yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, actually, in the Philippines, I would say top 4 competitors at this point are all foreign. We are probably the last Filipino-owned big publisher. In fact, we just merged with our number 2 Filipino competitor. So now we're the last man standing, pretty much, going up against regional players, a lot of which are based out of here in Singapore.
How about Facebook games? How much are people playing, and are people, from what you can tell, are people buying on the Facebook platform?
Yeah, we actually started distributing Facebook credits through Live Gamer, and it's doing okay. It definitely, among all the third-party game, because we also support we opened up our payment system to third parties, and Facebook has had the most impact in sales, but it's still quite small. I mean, you're looking at maybe less than 1% actually paying for Facebook content. I mean, one of the problems is we're not working directly with Facebook yet, so we have to mark up the credits. So so when they see the pricing difference between what we're offering and say what they can do through PayPal or credit card, it's less enticing for them to use our payment channel, but they're definitely there.
One thing about maybe Facebook games is that you'd usually see the Philippines as a country that's in the maybe top 10 of markets of English Facebook games out there, but it's always been the conversion rate has been very low, converting them to paying users.
Okay, this is a question primarily for Lichelle. You said that the Philippines is now #1 or #2 in outsourcing all over the world, and that's primarily for business process, call center. So how much of that has spilled over into game development, and what strengths do we have that we can take from those industries to apply to the game industry?
Sorry, Nell here is 11 years in the industry, but really there are a few that have started in the past 11 years, and I think it seems that the strength of the Filipinos in terms of outsourcing is really the affinity to the U.S. culture and the Western culture, mainly for the development of art, and especially now it seems like animation. It's easier for us to understand what the requirements are of our clients. They don't have to explain 3 times, 4 times, we get it. From experience, we had a client who actually asked us to do, was working with another client in Asia as well, and they asked them to do Can-Can 1950s dance movement, and it took them about 6 months to get that done. So they had to move to us, and we were able to finish it in a week. So it's the understanding of the culture, it's the communication skills. We are a primary English-speaking country, and we do understand how it is now more than ever to work with people of different cultures, which was an issue a few years back. So it has, and I think more than a few years ago, it has been improving the outsourcing of game development, and we are gaining a lot more interest in the outside market.
Okay, let's talk more about the business environment. So how about access to capital? I know there are a lot of different ways you guys are funded. Some are bootstrapped, some have taken some investment. So what generally is the environment for raising capital for the game industry in general, whether it's for development or publishing? How hard has it been to get money to start your business and continue to operate your businesses?
Well, if you are going to depend on the government, forget about that. That's one thing. The government at the moment does not have any subsidy in terms of providing capital, but they do support in some other ways when they can. There have been a number of companies, mostly VCs or angel investors, who have spoken to us and looked at the different companies in our organization. And some have been successful in infusing capital into these organizations.
So are VCs really putting money into game companies in the Philippines?
I know of a couple. I know of a couple. Not a lot, because at least at the moment I don't know of anyone in the organization, but a number of them are also companies outside of the U.S. who are willing to set up shop in the Philippines, and they do partner with other companies already existing in the Philippines.
So what are they investing in? Are they investing in some IP? Are they investing in an outsourcing team? What kind of model are they typically investing in?
It's a mix as well, but if I remember correctly, for the past 2 years, it has been more for the outsourcing outsourcing bit. But now there have been a lot more interest in IP development or co-development with the developers in the Philippines.
For VCs, since we were talking about how big the business process outsourcing is in the Philippines, they've traditionally come from a background or understanding of what they call this, from the outsourcing perspective, wherein they look at how big your team is and what sort of revenues you can generate per head. So that's the sort of funding they usually evaluate a company for, when they do their valuations.
Okay. Anyone? Nothing?
I have to talk about this. Honestly, for publishing anyway, I don't think VCs or investors are really interested too much in the Philippines right now. All the major players are all existing publishers, mainly from other countries in the region. So I don't think they're getting too much outside investment, because honestly the Philippine market is really strange because they have because it's so competitive, but a really small gaming market, and we're not just competing with people in the country, but any English title that's available. So, for Level Up, we're definitely seeing more investment in Brazil rather than Philippines.
For Philip, I know you guys pretty much funded yourselves out of winning a contest, a pretty big contest. Can you tell us more about that? The Imagine Cup.
Sure. We got our start, fresh out of college. We won this competition called the Imagine Cup. It's sort of a technology competition for students that Microsoft does every year. And they had a game design category. We won with a game called Wildfire. And after winning that, we thought, okay, this validates our our thoughts.
What was the prize money for that?
All right. B, the prize money for that was like $25,000, which was enough to actually start a company. In the Philippines, that was probably fortunate for us because the standard of living is not that high compared to other countries, so we were able to keep our overhead pretty low. Of course, there are some trade-offs. While stuff like food is cheap, salaries you can get lower, transport and stuff like that. It also means that the quality of your public transit is not that good. Internet access is also a difficulty. But because you were able to keep costs low, you were able to make it this far also.
Okay, so for you guys, very few people here, it seems like, are really trying to rely on outside capital for growth, right? You're trying to grow through your own projects?
Yes. The Philippines is actually pretty strong, like has been discussed in terms of outsourcing. But what we'd love to see is the development of original IP, which is why we're doing, we want to do what we're doing right now. Of course, we're still doing a little bit of consultancy and outsourcing, but the direction we want to head it is the development of original IP.
Okay, so I think a lot of companies already know that the Philippines is a destination for outsourcing, but can you tell us more about the Philippines as a source for own IP creation? Can you tell us more about your experiences? How easy or how hard is it to get that done?
Yeah, all
everyone.
right. In our personal experience, most of the world is, for example, familiar with Hollywood, U.S. Hollywood culture because they're very good at exporting that. Same can be said for certain countries like Japan has their anime, Korea has their whole K-pop thing, and all of these different cultures have their way of exporting their culture. But it's hard for probably markets outside the Philippines to be able to immediately relate with Philippine mythology, Philippine stories. So I think the challenge has been trying to create something that appeals to other countries while still maintaining a distinct Filipino identity. That's something that we've been trying to do but haven't been able to quite pin down yet. But I think as more people enter the space and more people we will eventually get there. That's what I think.
I think part of IP development, it's not necessarily about like transferring maybe your Filipino identity or the culture, but maybe it's more of the overall how imaginative, how creative the team is. So would you agree? Because a lot of people agree when they say that they think they have a hard time creating Filipino IP when they think like Filipino mythology or all of that. So Niel, how about your experience with that?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
How about creating original IP? You've had several attempts to create your own IP, from one with local mythology to ones created for publishers serving a global market. So how easy or hard do you think it is to have original IP created by designers in the Philippines?
Oh, well, it's not really a question of how hard it is, but how risky it is.
Okay.
Especially for independent developers. So since it all interrelates with a funding issue, we talked a while back. Since there's no funding issue, developers pretty much really need to rely on their cash flow, which comes from outsourcing. So for most developers, it's a question of how much cash can we burn doing something risky versus how much cash we need, or how much resources we should put into like cash that's already guaranteed to come in. So yeah, but as Lichelle said, we're also trying to grow our original IPs more and more. Like for our company, I'd say 70-80 is outsourcing work, and maybe 20 to 30% would be internal properties.
I would agree with Neil. I think a lot of the companies in GDAP started really small, and they started with their own money to put up that business. And since there is a limited amount of funds, what they normally do is they get outsourcing work and use that money to create their own IP. Given that, I think one of the challenges of these small companies is that they have no ability, or they have very little ability to actually grow and expand because of the lack of business knowledge, or just they are game developers. They are game developers who got together and like to put together a game, but not much business sense. So that's a challenge, I think, for those small companies or small groups of people who get together and develop a game, at least for the Philippine market.
Okay. You have anything to say?
No. As a pure publisher, I have really nothing to add to this.
Okay. Just a question for Phil. What kind of games would you fund or license for the Philippine market, just in general? If someone were to approach you and say that we have a game and you think this is good for the Philippines, what kind of things are you looking for?
I mean, honestly, that changes all the time. I would say right now the big want in the Philippines is anything that competes with League of Legends, right? Right now, Philippines is a huge Dota market, and it's, in terms of players, it's probably bigger than the online game market. So in terms of genre, I would say it's the MOBA type games. The other thing we are heavily looking into now is any web-based type of content, because distribution is a real struggle in the Philippines. One of the challenges we're seeing now is at the cafe level, which is about 80% of our players. Even the hard drive space is becoming a problem. With about 60 client-based titles in the Philippines, there's no way you're going to get all those games on the cafe PCs. So we're definitely looking more towards web-based content to relieve that challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, and low license fees and no really low royalties.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else want to add anything? No. Good. All right. So, That's all we have for the questions for the panel. I just want to ask you each guys for maybe a last word or what you think about the Philippines, or maybe what kind of people you're trying to meet for maybe the organization or for your company, and then we'll just do one each, and then we'll open up for questions.
Okay. I think that there's the Philippines has a very interesting mix of problems and good points. For example, like what has been said, there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of outsourcing work done, there's a lot of creativity, but not too much business acumen. But I think as more people get into it, as more people invest into it, more people from outside the Philippines come in and talk and engage with the developers, I think that'll change and that'll bring the overall state of the Philippines up. So I've actually been talking to a lot of people, getting a lot of perspectives, and would love to keep doing that well here in Singapore.
Since I see a lot of people, regional developers in the room right now, I think one thing that we did right in the Philippines is we were able to organize ourselves, if I can put on my GDAP hat for the moment, because I'm also a member of GDAP.
The oldest.
Founding member. So we originally started as like maybe in Indonesia, like an IGDA chapter Manila, and after a while, since IGDA has a lot of restrictions on what you can do, what we did was we tried to organize ourselves into like a government recognized entity, and as GDAP, a Game Developers Association in the Philippines, we were able to do a lot in solving many of these challenges. One thing we did was partner up with a bigger association, the Business Process Association, that did a lot of heavy lifting for us, push the government to put the Philippines and the to put the creative industry in the investment priority plan, where a lot of game development companies now enjoy a 4-year income tax holiday. And we were also able to get schools involved with the association. So with the schools involved, we were able to sort of push game development as a viable course, wherein previously when a school wanted to get when a school wanted to teach game development, they each had their own strategy or style, wherein one school would put it under Bachelor of Arts in Animation, and another would put it under Computer Science or IT. So we were able to sort of educate these schools and did a teacher training program as well. So yeah, that's one thing people in the region should also consider. Yeah. Spoke for both.
Okay, so for GDAP, I'm speaking for GDAP. The people that we really want to meet in this, in this event, are people who are interested in outsourcing some work to the Philippines. Maybe it be art, animation, programming, concept art, or end-to-end game development, full game development. We're also looking for companies who want to do co-development of IP, and for companies who want to set up a production office or an office in the Philippines. I'd love to just come up and I can help you with any kind of, our organization can help you with anything that has to do with government, because government's kind of hard to work with in the Philippines.
I guess for me, we're obviously interested in anyone looking to bring an online game to the Philippines that's not related to gambling. Although I will say, if you are serious about entering the Philippine market, you should treat it like any other. You need to give the support that it deserves. We've seen a lot of our own titles kind of suffer because the Philippines is always seen as a low priority to the developers, as opposed to the other markets they're in, like Korea, China, US, Europe. And we always get pushed down on the list in terms of bug fixes and content and things like that. If you want to be successful in the market, you really have to support the game. And then if you plan to go in yourselves, the most important thing is to have the proper payment methods in place. Because the credit card penetration is so low, you really have to rely on either ePIN distribution or prepaid cards. But with that, of course, comes very high sales costs. And yep.
Okay. Okay, so there you have it, guys. So I guess in closing, what I wanted to tell you is that it's more fun in the Philippines, and if you go there, you'll find out why. So now we'd just like to open the floor for questions. And thank you to the panelists. All right, questions? Yes.
Hi, is there an organization wherein game publishers and investors, for example, from other countries, partner
Guys?
No?
I guess
Oh,
the
sorry?
process that the GDAP has with that we have an event though. We have events in the Philippines that we can set up publishers and game developers to meet. We have a game development festival that happens towards fourth quarter of every year. We just finished we're planning on this year already, and last year was pretty successful. So,
Sorry, it was
an
event
organization or a new
organization where
publishers and developers can meet.
publishers and developers
Can meet.
can meet.
Yeah.
Or investors.
Or investors.
Yeah, yeah.
Investors.
So pretty much
Well,
an
I
event where publishers and...
I would say Casual Connect in Asia. And most of the other game development specific events
Yeah.
would be the place, GDC or whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to add that one of the reasons why the Philippines in general is very supportive of Casual Connect here in Singapore is that it's much easier to have a very strong regional event for everyone to go to at least once a year, for everyone to meet, where you can meet all types of publishers, developers, and investors, distributors. So while we still do our own events in the Philippines, we really very strongly support regional events which usually happen in Singapore because it's a lot easier to do those events here. There's very good funding, and the government here sponsors parties.
Free beer.
Questions? Yes.
How easy is it for international companies to come and invest or set up shop in Philippines in terms of government?
Oh,
Okay,
very easy.
I just have to repeat that. How easy is it for foreign companies to set up shop in the Philippines? So, yeah, Phil, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, like I told you, all our main competitors are from outside the Philippines. There's really very low barriers to entry in the market. Actually, I think the Philippines is very accommodating to foreign businesses. Yeah, I mean, as a publisher, it's a challenge, but I think for developers, it's probably a better. It's good.
Adding to what Phil said, our government has been very accommodating, and they have been pushing for these foreign investments to come to the Philippines, especially for outsourcing. So, as what Phil said, yeah, it's very easy.
I mean, in fact, they give visas, multiple entry visas. If you hire, they give these visas to foreigners if you hire at least 10 Filipinos. I mean, they make it really simple for foreigners to enter the market.
I have a follow-up question. How many overall do you think number of people involved in outsourcing as headcount?
Okay, how many people are involved in outsourcing as a headcount? Lichelle, do you have a number for that?
Are we talking about just the game development industry in general? We're very small in our industry. Right now, I think we're pushing about.
It's here.
We have some brochures if you want. We can give them away later. I think 1,000
Over
something.
1,000, yeah.
I think at the moment we're about 1,300.
Okay, so of that 1,300, what's the makeup of that in terms of maybe code or art assets, animators? Are there any rough figures?
Rough figures is about 40% would be art and animation, and then the rest is distributed among programming, some QA work, and the other areas of development in the market.
Okay.
You'll learn other stuff here too that I didn't know about. How many % of Filipinos speak English?
72%.
Yeah, 72% fluent in English.
All right. Do we have any more questions? Okay, last call. And if you don't have any more, then thank you very much and good afternoon, everyone.